My name is Nova from the Hoenn region. When I was a kid, a fateful encounter brought me face to face with my goal in this world, to unravel the mysteries of shiny Pokemon and discover their true nature. Route by route, region by region, no obstacle can stop my research, not even the barriers that separate one universe from the other. But my radar shows that in this strange world, there should be a shiny of unlimited power, according to the coordinates. Right here.
Shiny Pokemon. Objects of interest to every self-respecting trainer, except for fearful children who turn off the console when they encounter one. What can I say about these majestic creatures that haven't already been said? Well, believe it or not, there are many things that you may not know about them. Let's see if I can surprise you with some unknown facts about these really enigmatic and little-known pocket monsters. Because even the brightest stars have dark sides and secrets to be revealed. Interestingly, a Battle Frontier trainer can have shiny Pokemon, but the real surprise is how this is much more common than I thought. YouTube is full of reports of shiny encounters there, each one more infamous than the last, like even shiny wild Pokemon in the Battle Pyramid. If this has happened to any of you, feel free to leave a comment about it down there with your own shiny encounters in different buildings. But out of many stories, the most surprising one came straight to my inbox. A trainer claiming to have faced Dahlia, the arcade star, with a shiny Medicham. This photo was attached as evidence. Now, is this testimony true? Can the Frontier brains really send a shiny to battle? Or is our friend trying to trick us by altering the game in some way? Well, I'm glad this didn't happen to me when I was a kid, because if I was scared with a regular shiny, with the tension of the battle, I would have been scared to death. To check it out, we must examine the Emerald Edition original code, where we found that, as I suspected, unlike with normal trainers, the game makes sure that the personality value of the Frontier Brains Pokemon doesn't match a shiny one. So this would be impossible, at least in the original Emerald Battle Frontier. But will they change it for Platinum? Well, unfortunately, its code is much more cryptic and less accessible, so it remains a mystery, although I must doubt it because there's no other similar case on the whole internet. However, if true, it would be something beyond belief. Because if it's already unbelievable that the stars align so that something as rare as a shiny can appear in a final battle that only the chosen ones can reach, for this to happen against the roulette goddess, the Empress of Fortune herself, is almost a miracle. But if we go down a level, what about the gym leaders? There is a lot to be said about them and dark secrets that may one day be revealed in a future video. But for now, the question that concerns us, is it even possible for any of them to send a shiny Pokemon? Well, not initially, since the leaders, as well as all trainers of the game, with the exception of those from the battle facilities, have their Pokemon completely defined and protected. The shiny ones will always be shiny, and the ones that are not will never be. Or so the theory says, because if we don't give up so easily, we can find not one, but two trainers of this rank that break the rule. The first one is the beloved and nasty Claire, but in her better anime face, where she surprised everyone with a shiny Druddigan. But let's leave it to Nova to deal with her, because the other one is much more interesting, this time in the games. We are talking about none other than Whitney. Did you know that there's a chance for her Pokemon to be shiny? I know what you're thinking. Stop drinking Moo Moo milk. If that were possible, I would have already noticed it in one of the hundreds of times her Miltank has stomped me, and you're absolutely right. It's not something that would happen normally, but it could happen after a series of trial and error, and the key is in her Clefairy and a unique move in Gym Leaders, Metronome. Perhaps the clever of you will already see where this is going. If it uses this move, which no other Pokemon of this trainer class has, it opens up a surprising number of possibilities, and in one universe, it will use Transform. If the Pokemon it copies is a shiny Ditto, and then we switch to another Pokemon, it will activate a strange and remote bug that happens when using transformation 2 different times. If we use Roar or Whirlwind with this second Pokemon, we will have officially bugged the game, with Whitney sending a Miltank with the distinctive animation of a shiny, without showing its condition until we enter and exit the menu. Here we have the photograph of the leader and her shiny. Although we had to play paparazzi and resort to tricks, it's still a scoop, right? What happened with Nova and Claire? Knowing them, I don't know if they will get along very well, but why don't we take advantage of the fact that she's busy to take a look at her diary? Let's read some of the incredible discoveries about shiny Pokemon during all her years of research. As many of you know, even though shinies were introduced in the second generation, it's possible to hunt them in the first generation since it was the Pokemon stats that determined that variant back then. But not many people know that it's possible to hunt Jotto, shiny Pokemon, in the first generation. The Pokédex of the first games is filled with gaps left by Pokemon eliminated badly at the last minute. Gaps where the mysterious missing no roams free. Well, gotta catch them all, because through some glitches, if we know what we're doing, we can make a missing no from red and blue, have the exact parameters to transfer it to gold and silver for it to become a shiny Pokemon of the second generation. In some way, doesn't that make all the rumors of Jotto Pokemon obtainable in complex and absurd ways in red and blue true? But still, the most incredible thing is that all this was still there in the 3DS Virtual Console edition of these games until the Nintendo eShop was closed. The glitches, the time capsule, plus the Poke Transporter that allowed us to keep those Pokemon. How would the game have reacted if we had tried to send a Jotto Pokemon, shiny and supposedly caught in the first generation, to the most recent editions? The next discovery was more of an idea than something with real evidence, but I'm still very interested in it. This time we are going to her native region, to the mythical Mount Pyre, where sky, sea, and earth meet, the resting place of the red and blue orbs and where the origin and end of life took place. I don't know why we were surprised when Archie and Maxie stole the orbs and made a mess. The deadly and ominous scene was already a harbinger of what was to come. At the top of this legendary place, we find 3 wild Pokemon: Duskull, Choppet, and of course the elusive Chimecho. However, why did this catch Nova's attention? Well, the shiny variants of these 3 Pokemon match the colors of the 3 legendary Pokemon of the region, as well as the additions they represent. Maybe not perfectly, but close if you have a little bit of imagination. This happens right in the location that represents the balance of the ancient legendaries. A balance that no one should break. Is it just a coincidence? Maybe, but the image of the 2 ghost Pokemon, red and blue, both so associated with resentment, conflict, and negative feelings of souls that didn't find peace and wander the world, until the emerald green being descends from the heavens and with its angelic voice appeases the spirits and restores things to their natural order, certainly draws attention. Cute. Frightening, amazing stories. We can find all kinds of tales about shiny Pokemon, but do we really know anything about them? About their true nature? It was said that originally shinies were just mere palette swaps, without looking for sense, logic, or meaning beyond being a rare event in the games. But is it fair to say this? In fact, as the generations go by, it becomes more and more noticeable how the shiny Pokemon try to make references to variations of the animal that inspires the Pokemon, alternate shapes that make sense for their biology, and even jokes and puns with the species concept, remnants that only someone with a heart of gold could pick up on. Because they definitely have a meaning beyond, even in the first generations where supposedly shinies were absurd and arbitrary. Just look at this artwork of Charizard. It's impossible to get its ash color from its characteristic orange just by swapping the tone. It was clearly chosen deliberately, letting you see how even then there was a purpose behind it. So what's the answer? What does shiny Pokemon represent? Well, does it matter? The thrill of an encounter, the power of a rumor, the memory of times when everything was simpler. What does shiny Pokemon mean? Perhaps the question was wrongly formulated from the beginning, since each one of them has its own meaning in the story that is made when it appears to you. If that happens, catch it and treasure that memory as something that will not happen again. See you next time.